Okay, welcome. Today I want to offer some reflections about the unexamined life is not worth living. I want to talk a little bit about the 3 stages of trauma recovery, and I also want to talk about Pete Walker's book Complex PTSD and just this idea of the gold that can come out of our wounding. And finally I'll talk a little bit about Robert Blle in Iron John, where he talks about our gift to society is often where our wound is. So, enjoy. So, it was Socrates who first said the unexamined life is not worth living. And I was reflecting, I've been reading Boris Johnson's biography, Just Boris, the last few days. I've read his other biography. This one's a lot more open about his boarding school experiences and his upbringing. I didn't realise that his father had also been to boarding school, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So I think I think if I could begin with the 3 stages of trauma healing. So we've got first stage is denial, disassociation. We kind of bring some awareness there. Second stage is the grieving. We move out of the denial into a space of, actually, this is what it feels like. Third stage then is moving into integration. And, this is what I really want to talk about today, this idea of whatever the challenges you've gone through, when we've grieved them, we move to stage 3, then we can go, I can give a gift back to society. And what I notice with a lot of ex-boarders, a lot of people who've been through trauma, is they're stuck in stage 1. It's that it didn't do me any harm, it was fine. But what you do when you do that is you are denying, and you are not accepting a huge amount of gold, a huge amount of ability to be a better person, to be loving, joyful, to really give a gift back to society. And what happens then, I was reading Jung this morning, is that when we deny, basically the shadow becomes darker almost. It becomes more dangerous because we're not exploring it, and we project it out onto the world. And I see that's what I see a lot of our leaders are doing at the moment. They've not explored their trauma, and they project it out onto the vulnerable of society. So so if I begin with Pete Walker's book Complex PTSD, so page 81, and he's just talking about the if I can get to it. It says, a further silver lining in recovery is the attainment of a much richer internal life. And I feel this is stage 3. The introspective process, so fundamental to effective recovery work, eventually deepens and enriches survivors' psyches. Ongoing mindful exploration of all aspects of our experiences helps us see firsthand what Socrates meant when he said, the unexamined life is not worth living. The survivor who follows the introspective road less traveled becomes increasingly free of compulsive and unconscious allegiance to unhelpful familial, religious, and societal values that were instilled at an impressive age. In psychological parlance, she becomes free and brave enough to individuate and develop more of her full potential. And he talks about, in Joseph Campbell's words, the survivor learns to follow his own bliss. And I think this is really important for us to realise that if we're in denial, then it's like we're kind of losing out on this gift. So it's really important for us to explore this stuff. As I was talking to an Oxford-trained psychologist last year, she said, 100% of people have trauma. It just depends on the level of it. So we all need to explore this stuff. It's not as if some have had worse than others. No, we all need to look at this. As I mentioned the last couple of weeks, we need to look and explore, but not get lost there. We need to come back out into the joy, so it's an infinity loop. Explore the darkness, but then also remembering the joy. He also goes on to say, Pete Walker, he says, the survivor who pursues long-term development on his journey of recovery generally achieves greater overall evolution than the average citizen. For many untraumatized people, the pursuit of ongoing learning often stops after their last formal learning experience. Finally, another silver lining, often achieved in later stage recovery, is a greater ability to handle normal pain in the most healthy and least re-traumatizing way. So there's so many gifts when we really feel through this stuff. We keep our practice going. You know, he talks here about we meditate, we have an improved diet, alternative medicine. You know, for me, I'm always thirsting for learning, and that's the gift of my wounding. Is like, you know, my daily practice is 3 hours. It's like I'm so passionate about this. So that's Pete Walker. And then you've got Robert Blle from Iron John, and he talks about this. He says, the wound that hurts so much we involuntarily dip it in the water, we have to regard as a gift. So he's talking about the story of Iron John. The boy has hurt himself, and he's sat by the water, and he's dipping his finger into the water to help him. How would the boy in our story have found out about his genius if he had not been wounded? There are no wounds. Those with no wounds are the unluckiest of all. Of course, one can't think that, because no such person has ever been found. So this is the 100%. We've all got some wound. And if we deny we're in stage 1, oh, it's fine. You know, that's what Boris Johnson's father said. Oh, I loved it. You know, and then Boris Johnson saying, actually, in this book, I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like the beating, hearing the boys screaming. You know, this is trauma. Men are taught over and over that when they are boys, that a wound that hurts is shameful. A wound that stops you from continuing to play is a girlish wound. He who is truly a man keeps walking, dragging our guts behind. Our story gives a teaching diametrically opposite. It says that where a man's wound is, that is where his genius will be. Wherever the wound appears in our psyches, whether from alcoholic father, shaming mother, shaming father, abusing mother, whether it stems from isolation, disability or disease, that is precisely the place for which we will give our major gift to the community. So this is really stage 3. It's like we work through our stuff, and then it's like, right, we give our gift. Doesn't mean that we don't still have our stuff, but we're able to open, to feel our pain, to feel our difficulties, and still give. And it's a stage. And as with the stage, we can go back into stage 1 again, even though we've been in stage 3. But it's more like a spiral. We keep spiraling, and gradually we spiral up and up and up. So yeah, just some reflections, just about, you know, exploring. Keep going within. Keep seeing what your wound is your gift. You know, just keep understanding that, you know, reframing. I think sometimes we can get lost in stage 2, where it's just woe is me, terrible. It's like, yes, we've got to grieve, but then we've got to move to stage 3. Is what's the gold here? What is the gift? What can I do to give to others? And one of the ways I found is empathy. You know, I can be with someone who might have been homeless or alcoholic, and I'm like, I can resonate because I've been there. But only when we move from denial, we feel the pain of what we've been through all life. So, yeah, that is today's video. So blessings, this lovely morning here. So this Friday I've got a podcast with Zena Me, who's a leadership expert who works a lot with ex-boarders in positions of power, CEOs, and, you know, leadership. and that will go live on Friday. A great conversation. I'm speaking on Thursday with Dr. Karen Traceman, who is a clinical psychologist, talking about healthcare, trauma-informed education. She's a very well-known author, and I've got some more conversations coming up next week as well. So yeah, and the film at the moment, we are working on the edit. We've finished the principal photography, so that's exciting. We are just piecing all the interviews together, which is great. So any questions, please do share this video, and any comments always help. Okay, take care.